best probably alone.
Alone?
When I'm working.
Okay, can you give me an example of where that might have been successful?
Geography.
What happens in geography?
We're doing our eco-town presentation.
Okay.
We have to make a town that is like using recyclable energy instead of fossil fuels and stuff like that.
Okay. And if you work best when you're alone, what happens when you work in groups?
I start messing about and not working.
Why do you think that is?
It's just how I am.
I mean, it's just how you are.
Just how I am.
So you can work well independently and produce high standard work, is that right?
Yeah.
But as soon as you get into a group,
Something happens.
Sometimes, so not always.
No.
What might it depend on?
Doesn't really depend on it. Just whether I do it or not.
So you have a choice to do it and a choice not to do it.
Yeah, and sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't.
Do you know there are consequences if you don't do it?
Yeah.
So why do you go ahead? What's your thinking when you go ahead and
you
know
don't
that
think. You're just with people, you can talk, you can mess about. You don't really think about anything else.
Okay, so it's just an opportunity to have a good time. So is learning important to you?
Yeah.
So how do you kind of make that kind of equalise that? If it's important to you and then you... Because
I don't like always mess about. I sometimes work to fix it up instead of me just messing about all the time and not getting any work done.
So if you stop messing around, what would happen to your learning then?
I would get much higher levels and stuff.
Okay. So you know that for sure. And that's not a motivating.
Not really.
No. Why not?
Because I know I can do better than I can do what I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I really can't be bothered.
You can't be bothered.
No.
Okay. So what happens when a teacher then sort of knows that you're capable of more, like you know you're capable of more, and then they sort of tell you that expectation and they ask more of you? What happens then?
Then I just say okay, and I keep saying okay to whatever they say, and you don't really do anything after that to change what you're doing.
Okay. Does that work with teachers if you say okay?
If you keep saying okay, they always let you go.
Really?
Yes. Every teacher.
Every teacher. That's really interesting. Okay. So if I was going to ask you then, what prevents you from learning?
Prevents me? Other people, that's it.
Other people?
Other people or me not wanting to do it. If I don't like what we're doing that day.
Right. Okay, so you have to like.
Yeah, because if it's boring, I'm not going to really do it.
Okay. Who or what prevents others from learning in your classroom?
People. I am one of those people.
You are one of those people.
Yes.
How does that make you feel when you say that?
Nothing.
Nothing? You don't feel at all any kind of sense of I could change and I could, not have such a negative impact on others?
But it's not mostly me.
Not mostly you?
Yeah. I'm not that bad, but people think I'm that bad.
Why is that, do you think?
I don't know, because I do one really bad thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then I do others not that bad, and people think I'm always doing that really bad thing to everybody.
Okay, how does that make you feel?
Not good.
Not good.
What kind of really bad thing? What are you talking about?
I was in drama, and we were doing something, I don't remember, and then the boy next to me started talking to me, and this was stand up, yeah, and I stood up, and it was why were you talking? And it was he was talking to me, and Miss no, why are you talking? And I was because I am. And she's are you actually saying that? And it's do you want to go outside? And I was yes, I will. So that type of stuff.
Okay. Okay. Do you deliberately, so you've already answered this question in a way, you deliberately avoid doing the work in some lessons, don't you?
Some of the time.
Okay. Does a teacher affect any of it? Any of that? Are there certain teachers where?
Yes. Like a couple people.
Do you want her to stop you?
I don't really care. If she stops us, then she stops us. If she doesn't, she doesn't.
Okay, but she could stop you if she wanted to.
She could if she wanted to, but she doesn't.
What would she need to say or do to stop you?
Just tell us to stop. Or just tell us to be quiet.
Okay.
She never puts anyone in the detentions or anything.
Okay. And is there a class where those kind of rules are enforced, quite consistently? You know where you stand, and you know there's going to be a consequence?
Science, because science, our teacher used to be our coaches when we got moved. Yeah, but nobody really messes about in that lesson that badly. We all do the work and get on with it.
And why do you think that is?
Because we know the teacher.
Because you know lessons. How do you think you learn best?
I learn best doing things, not just sitting writing everything out. If I move things around, actually physically doing something. So
physically doing something that helps you learn. Thank you. Who or what in class prevents you from learning? So if you're doing physical stuff, moving things around, you're learning quite well. Who or what prevents you from learning in class, do you think?
Just people shouting a lot.
Okay.
And people call my name.
People that call your name? Why do you think they're calling your name?
Talk or something, but it's sometimes it's to talk, sometimes it's for help.
Okay.
So I do try to ignore it.
What happens? You say you try and ignore them. What? Are you successful?
Sometimes. It depends what lesson they're in.
Tell me more about that. What do you mean by depends on?
There's PE and stuff. I'm not strong in PE. I just don't really like PE, so I get distracted more than if I'm in history or English, which are lessons I prefer. Okay,
so if you like a subject, you'd be less likely to distract. You can manage your distractions.
Yes.
Okay. So what's your ideal learning environment then?
Not really, really quiet, but just quiet but not silent.
Not silent. What happens when it's silent?
I get bored, I get bored, and then I go off into my own world.
Okay. What happens if you don't understand something in a lesson?
I try to work it out myself first. Then I ask people around me, and if they don't understand, I ask my teacher.
Right. Okay. And do you deliberately avoid doing work in lessons?
No.
No. Okay. So what is your attitude towards learning and school?
I get bored sometimes. There's days where I really don't want to come to school, but I always do.
You do always come? If you get bored, does that affect your behaviour at all?
Sometimes. It also, again, depends on what lessons they are.
Tell me more about that.
It's the same as if I don't like a lesson, I just do different, I'll draw or something, or I just doodle or talk.
Right. Okay. So if you're it's kind of low level, nothing outrageous at all. What effect does that have on your learning then? If you're doodling and talking?
I don't actually do the work.
Don't do
I do some of it, but not to the best of my standards.
How does that make you feel when you realise that you could be doing a lot better? Does it kind of bother you at all? Or not really?
It does, but then I do lately I've been trying to stop doing all of that. I've been trying to stick down to my lessons.
What's motivated you to try and change?
Because picking for GCSEs, what I want to do for GCSEs.
Okay, so it feels like it's more serious now.
It's coming too close now. So.
Right. Okay. So you know when to kind of get serious. And okay, lovely. So do you sometimes get into trouble?
Yeah, in some lessons I do. But I'm normally quite good in lessons daily, again because of GCSEs.
Okay.
But before I used to get in a lot of trouble,
but
not as much now.
And what kind of consequences would you have for
just detention?
Do you think they work? Do they stop you behaving?
Not really, because so it depends. Science, I had an hour detention, and I'm really good in science now, but I just need to stop doodling because I doodle a lot. But
how do you learn best then? What kind of situations do you learn best?
All kind of situations. in a quiet classroom where there's no distraction, you know, it doesn't matter really who I sit next to. Like, even if I sit next to my friend, it depends. Like, if we're both feel like doing work, or if there's like we're both in trouble and we're both like on thin ice or something, then we'll probably do good work. But sometimes, like when there's hardly any distractions, like some people are distracted in our class, even though they don't get in trouble a lot. I don't know, some way like they trigger it. Everyone says that, like when they're not here, the class is good.
Right. So it says sometimes people in the class that trigger that kind of bad behaviour.
And I could be one of them at times.
Do you think you are?
Yeah, at times.
Yeah. And how does that make you feel when you realise that you're the person that stops?
I go quiet after I do something, and I actually do, like everyone's talking now, so I realise what I've done. Sometimes I realise what I've done, and I'll be quiet, and then somehow it comes back to me. Like like say I was talking, I done something bad, I was like a little play fight or maybe a fight, and then I'd be good for the rest of the lesson. One time I talk once, and the teacher catches me straight away, and it's more serious than other people, and the whole class is talking, so the teacher obviously she's gonna come back to me.
So so do you feel that you're not picked on as such, but that your behaviour is always sort of noticed before other students' behaviour?
Yeah.
Can you?
I don't know why.
Yeah, I was going to ask you why do you think that is?
I don't know why. Maybe it's because like some people are quiet. They just sit down. They don't answer. They don't put their hand up. I'm not one of those people, and I get noticed quite a lot. And then, because I get noticed, people maybe they always look for me to put their hand up. Maybe they have their eye on me instead of people that don't even make eye contact to put their hand up. And then
it's quite interesting.
Very.
Yeah. So you're somebody that likes putting their hand up in class and likes participating and getting involved.
Interesting, mostly, yeah.
Yeah. So it has to be
boring.
Interesting, or it's boring.
Unless it's boring, then I won't do it. I'll just sit down and talk.
Is that what happens if you find something boring? Even if
Not
it's
all the time.
if it's boring.
Sometimes it's boring. I just like write a few sentences with my head down.
And try and avoid the work. Is that what you're trying to do? Try and avoid it. Okay. If it's boring, does it mean that it's not useful?
No. Some stuff I already know, but even then, I like to put my hand up. But boring, I mean like something that's just work, all the lessons that you just write or read.
Okay, so what activities do you like doing instead
of
just writing?
Maybe like I like more active activities, like people asking for their opinions, a little discussion, like something I used to do in year 7, but it's not always going to be like that because as you grow older.
Yeah. So you realise that as you get older, perhaps you need to do more reading and writing.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that mean your attitude to reading and writing might change?
Possibly.
Possibly. Okay. Who prevents learning from happening in the class? Other people's learning. So anybody or anything that stops.
You want me to give a name?
No, not at all. Just. Is it particular?
No.
Yeah, go on.
No, is it just one person or groups of people, or is it a relationship, or trying to do things to present yourself in a certain way?
It's a group of people. Like, one person can start it. One person can start it. A group of people can start it, and then some other group they think that they're talking. The teachers turn their back. They concentrate. The teachers focusing on them. Then they start talking. Even good if they so the best of lessons. But I noticed that since all our tables talking, or another table's talking, even the good people wouldn't normally talk. They thought it was alright because the class was noisy. They started talking to the people next to them. No.
So you sometimes sit back and sort of observe and notice the way things are going in the class.
Because some people say that it's not fair. Like when the teacher's talking to her, she has her back towards the class, everyone else is talking, maybe throwing stuff at each other. I'm like, look at them. And turn around, nothing happens, and then she gets more angry.
Okay. So do you feel it's a bit unfair? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's like unfair. Like since some teachers they hold grudges. Say you wanna say last lesson you weren't that good, and then obviously this is like human nature. And then the next lesson, when you come in, you have an intention to be good for the whole day, and then you come in, you want to, everyone else is allowed to sit where they want, you try sitting next to your friend, and because of what happened last lesson, she doesn't let you, or they don't let you, and then, you say why, then it gets into like an argument.